Carter, the Power Bryant. Good morning, good sir. Not good evening as you normally join us. How are you?
Good, man. Speaking of baseball, so one of my AAU teammates, Blake, took over a college baseball program, and in year 3 of the program, he's been in the World Series now twice. Twice. It's like a smaller, like
Where does he
JUCO.
coach?
His name's Cannon Lester. I wanted to shout him out. He was a old. Actually, we never played AAU baseball together. We're actually basketball teammates, but a lot of my AAU baseball teammates played with him. So really excited about that because I was hearing you talking about Wes Johnson. Um, a lot of times, a lot of the best coaches are all on the same staffs, and he goes to Georgia, and they're good now. And he
was it Arkansas when they made that deep run?
with Dave Van Horn. He was actually the neighbor of some of my really close friends in Fayetteville. And then he coached in the major leagues. And look, you got these two programs going at it. And I talked to you on the phone yesterday. You're like, man, it is not a lock for LSU baseball to get.
They would really need chalk to win out. If they win tomorrow, they're in. I still think that they're in. Okay, but is it a lock? No, it's not.
So yeah, I'm just hoping for the best. Listening to your show and your post games, I'll be listening Wednesday when you go live. Hopefully after the game. You're going live after the game on Wednesday?
Well, tomorrow, no, I am not. But Wednesday, I probably would. Yes, because look, man, it's summertime.
So the game is tomorrow, not Wednesday.
Yeah, the first game is tomorrow at 9:30.
Oh, I thought it was Wednesday. Wow.
Yeah, tomorrow at 9:30. I can't go live tomorrow after the game. But we'll recap it, right? But Wednesday I might be able to. But you know what is well, I'll get to that in just a minute. Do I think LSU baseball is in? Yes, I do. But nobody's going to agree with me. I think what they did this weekend probably would solidify. Now, do they need to win tomorrow to feel a lot better about themselves? Yes, they do. The truth is, do they probably need to go 2-2 in the SEC tournament? Probably.
They're not leaving the LSU brand out of the tournament. They are not.
I don't think they leave the defending national champions out with 13 SEC wins.
Exactly. You
right.
Got to put them in. I'm being elitist about my team right now. I'm going full Lakers about my team.
LSU baseball as an example. Okay. LSU baseball as an example. Okay, and baseball in general is what college football is kind of going to, right? Like if you win your conference, you're in. Things aren't created equally. Like playing baseball in the SEC is not like playing baseball in the Big 12 or the Pac-12 or anything like that. So you want equality, but okay, you about to find out what equality really looks like, buddy.
No, that's crazy. But like it is good to be with you, and yeah, man, life's great.
Yeah, going to be a very fun week. Massive news dropped at 10 a.m. this morning. Seimone Augustus going to be an assistant coach for LSU women's basketball. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, she has a statue outside the building. I mean, I think that's great. We all have our own Seimone Augustus story. If you're
what is your best Seimone Augustus story?
Well, my grandmother got a huge NAACP award the same night that Seimone Augustus, as a high schooler, got a similar award. And I was younger. My grandmother has since been deceased for a while now, but yeah, that was super cool. Like she gave like a really good speech for a high school. I remember it vividly. And yeah, it was awesome. And it's no surprise that she's just an awesome human, and a lot of people are really excited. And it's going to be good for recruiting and good for LSU.
Did your grandma pass down the generation of lemony twang? Is that where it all started with your grandmother?
No, it didn't. That's my mom. Lemony twang is on my mom's side, but on my dad's side, she could cook though, like pretty much every grandma in Baton Rouge. But yeah, I'm super excited about Seimone Augustus and super excited about what Kim's gonna do post-8. I'm super pumped up to see the offense be a little bit more guard oriented next year, and hopefully Del Rosario and a couple of the other post players get better and then make another run to the Final Four.
I'm not saying that there's no coaches on that staff that Kim can lean on for X's and O's. Nor does Kim really need to lean on anybody from an X's and O's standpoint. However, it's different coming from someone like Seimone Augustus with everything that she's done in her career at that position that Kim can lean on. You talked about recruiting. Yes, that's a big deal. But, bro, that's like having Drew Brees telling you what he thinks you should do versus these coverages, right? Like Drew Brees telling a quarterback what he should do. Like it's on a different level. And I think it's a big deal, like you said, for recruiting. And I think Kim recruits well enough that will it change some things? Maybe. But I think it's someone that she can lean on more. And I think this is a big deal. We talk about she's doing exactly what Tyrann Mathieu' goal is to come back and be a coach at LSU. So I'm glad that she's back. Let's see how it fares. Let me ask you this question. It's crazy that the superstars that we grew up watching, they're coming back and being coaches. It's kind of a little bit crazy.
Yeah, and that could happen in some other sports. And Anthony makes a good point here. You used an expletive, so I don't know if you could put it on the screen. But
yeah, I'm not going to do that because
but Michaela is very similar to Seimone Augustus, right? They're very similar players. I don't know if Michaela Williams is going to be that good, but she does have the profile to be that good. She does have the recruiting chops to be that good, and her game is very similar to that of Augustus. So it's a good point.
Well, and Kim Mulkey just came out with a statement. I'm just going to read the last paragraph. She says, competing against Seimone and watching her play professionally and internationally, I always was impressed with her leadership and basketball IQ. So it goes to the point about Kim leaning on her about some things that she sees. She also says those are the intangibles that I'm most excited about for the program. She has experience at the highest level of success. So, I mean, it just goes to the point of what Kim ultimately thinks. Anthony, I don't care about your language. I can't clip it. I'm not going to put it up because,
right.
I got to clip it. So I think it's a really big deal. All right. Carter Bryant joining us. Let's get to what people are actually here for. Dakorien Moore decommitted on Thursday, Friday. I forget the day. I'm going to, like I always do, leave it open-ended. What are your thoughts on Dakorien Moore, the wide receiver from Duncanville, decommitting from LSU?
Yeah, he's very good. There's just no other way around it. Sometimes the recruiting ranking doesn't match up to the player. If you actually go back and watch Corey Foreman or a lot of other elite 5-stars, sometimes it's just not there when you just sit and watch him. Dakorien Moore is very good. He is just a very good football player. With that said, it's definitely not the end of the world for LSU at wide receiver, because any wide receiver they have lost, it's not been the end of the world, because LSU's never had an issue at wide receiver. Now, you can make a case that, or at least in the modern era, they've not had any issues at wide receiver, and especially with Cortez Hankton, along with Hartline at Ohio State, being the best wide receiver coaches, if you look at NFL Capital or just college stats or whatever, Blitnikoff, whatever. Blake, it's one of those things where you do worry about it, because he is tight with Bryce Underwood. He is a special playmaker with the football in his hands. And when Kyron Lacey gets drafted next year, you are still going to need to go find an alpha. But every year we have wondered about who the next alpha would be. That it just kind of forms.
I mean, hell, we worried about it this year to some extent. I mean, we worried about it in 22. What's going to be with, Kayshon Boutte coming off of an injury, and Malik Neighbors, the guy that even though your boy was out here saying it, I never had to worry about that position group ever.
Right.
Even in 22. I mean, I get what you're saying with that, but continue.
Yeah. So if it is a 5-star at pretty much any other position outside of maybe wide receiver and running back, because LSU already has 2 RBs for 2025, it's really not as big of a loss if it was Bryce Underwood. That won't happen. I don't think it will. Or an offensive lineman, which is a lot harder to go find.
Or D lineman.
Or D lineman. Exactly. Mm-hmm. That would have been bigger So that context is very, very, very important. And once again, I'm not belittling the loss of Dakorien Moore, but if he wants to go somewhere else, and let's just say another school offers him just a generational bag, then if that is the case, or if it's something else, I don't know what the case would be. All the power to you. Go where you are happy. I do not want any college football player, in particular the sport of football. I don't want any football player to be in my locker room and them not be happy with their current situation, because that is what will fracture a locker room before you ever even get going. With that said, over the weekend, LSU had a wide receiver having lunch with Jay-Z and Tom Brady. LSU has wide receivers that have dances on Fortnite. LSU has wide receivers that are spokesmen for sleep mattresses. Just the brand of LSU and what they have done in wide receiver catapults you into a different stratosphere. Well, when it comes to celebrity, when it comes to success, Dakorien Moore, his idol is Odell Beckham Jr. So why don't you want to go to school where Odell Beckham Jr. played? A lot of that culture is still around LSU. So I understand that comes off as Blake being Homer and him wanting to play for LSU. No, Ohio State is a great school to go be a wide receiver. Oregon makes some sense. Texas makes a lot of sense because of proximity. I understand that. But if you want to be a big-time wide receiver, LSU is the place to be. And there's no debating that otherwise.
I'm going to be very careful with my words here. I do think that his camp is looking at right now versus the long term.
Yes.
Okay. Doesn't stop the fact, though, that those schools are doing what they need to do to flip a guy like him. Okay. And here's the overarching thing that I think that people, and Carter, I know people are tired of us having these conversations. The price tags aren't going down.
No.
So you can be in the market for buying players or not buying players. It's not going down. And it won't go down. Carter, it's only going to get higher. I think Oregon has done a very good job at making Duncanville connections by some of the hiring processes that they've done, which is throwing people for a loop. And why people aren't reporting this is ridiculous. Okay, but you can be mad at, we shouldn't give a player this. But Carter, did you see the Jahekeem Stewart, the Chad Simmons, the Jahekeem Stewart report? Did you see that?
What did it say?
That teams are already offering him 7 figures to come to their school.
Well, then he has
what do you mean you're not going to buy players? That's the going rate for a guy like him.
Right.
Why would he give you a hometown discount? By the way, just throwing this out there. Okay. It's over a 3 and 4 year process. It's not just like a 1 year deal. By the way, just letting people know, Ross Dellinger reported last week or 2 weeks ago that the 85 scholarship players are going to be making around $250,000 with TV revenue share. So, I mean, he's getting, so you're matching what he's getting in TV revenue share over a 3-4 year span. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I mean, Carter, we're in a place where either, we shouldn't pay this guy. Okay, well then don't. But do you want to? You're not in a Dabo type situation, but you're leaning more towards a Dabo type situation than you are not.
Yeah, and look,
and I'm not saying that's. Hold on one second. Brian Kelly's not doing that. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But what I'm saying is to the fans that continue to say, "Oh, Blake, we shouldn't do this." Well, you better get to a place very quickly, Carter, where this is you're seeing how the sausage has always been made. We talked about like JoJo Earl, which is ironic because Malik Neighbors was the take when JoJo Earl bounced. The problem is JoJo Earl had a charger that he was in the day that he committed. Do you think that cash didn't come along with that?
Yeah.
You're just seeing how the sausage is being made. What are you talking about?
You're right. And one more thing, Blake. And this will cause a tizzy. All right, and I get it. The recruiting services have gotten better at rating kids, and you look at how badly they would miss on some 5-star receivers. The last couple of years, they've gotten it pretty right on the money. Like
outside of quarterback, they have.
Yeah. So, but I'm just saying overall, when it comes to wide receiver evaluation, the 5-star receivers oftentimes turn out to be absolute superstars.
I mean, Brian Thomas was a top 40 prospect.
Yeah.
I mean, he went in the top 25.
So really, like Dakorien Moore is going to be a really good college football
I
player.
agree. And look, that's how I led off the show. I think he's going to be really good. But I was talking more about like the Jahekeem Stewart thing.
Yeah.
If what Chad Simmons is reporting is true, which I believe that it is, okay, then what are you supposed to do? And here's the crazy thing. So we talked about this last week, you and I, about the collective. It's funny how we came out here and said, me and yours conversation from last Monday, me and you both came out here and said, well, you know what? You need to start getting fans involved. And then you had people in our media corps saying, oh, they're trying to get lower end donors. No shit, they're trying to get lower end donors. No shit. Because that's what everybody else is doing. You know who's doing it? You want me to tell you the teams are doing? Georgia, Texas, Florida, Florida State, Ohio State, Oregon.
Yeah.
You know, and so, yes, this is the game that you play now. I'm sorry that you have to play it. It's the game that you play now. Don't give. I don't care if you do or don't, but it's the game that you're playing. So, like, if what Jahekeem Stewart is being offered, and here's another note, he's not offering himself that money.
No.
So what do? Do you tell the kid to walk at the biggest position of need?
Yeah, that's one where even if you don't think Thanos is his nickname, by the way,
right?
Even if you don't think he is worth the Infinity Stones, even if you don't think he can snap his fingers and turn the fortune of the defensive line around at LSU, that might just be one you can't just get behind on for a lot of different reasons, right? Like, he's in your own backyard. He very well could be the next Ndamukong Suh. I've not really watched him, Blake, because we're still so far away.
Well,
but
he's talking about reclassifying.
That's the thing. If you reclassify, you don't want to be behind the 8 ball here. And optics would look pretty good if you're able to fend off the other bidders and able to get the in-state guy that will more than likely, based on his recruiting capital, have a year 1 grade for me. So we'll see what happens.
Do you how do I want to ask this? Do you have a problem with paying a kid that much?
Not him. No. And once again, I've not watched him, but that might be one where you just kind of have to do it just for the sake of I know it sounds stupid. You got to pay a kid that's 17 years old.
So are we coming full circle here? Are we coming full circle of we don't buy players? The next day, Chad Simmons comes out with this, and now you're going to get in another bidding war. I feel like we're coming full circle.
Right. I'll say this. I'll say this. I've not really sat down and watched him yet to give you my personal opinion on if I would give any high school defensive lineman a 7-figure deal. But you might just have to if it makes sense, right? We know Dominic Williams doesn't have the upside of an all SEC level player because we have enough samples seeing what he did at TCU. He was a very good player.
Mm-hmm.
But Jahekeem Stewart has the upside of being the first defensive lineman taken in the draft 4 years from now, being a 5-star recruit. Now, look, a lot of number 1 overall defensive linemen that were 5 stars have flopped. A lot of them have. I mentioned Corey Foreman a minute ago. You go all the way back to Ronald Powell.
I don't think he's him. I think the kid's better than any of them.
I would like to think so as well, just based on
I mean, the stuff that I watch, I think he. People say he's a DT. I don't.
So what do you think?
I think you know what I think. Do whatever you want. I think he's. You know what I really think he is. I honestly believe he might be Jadeveon Clowney.
Oh, Blake.
Mm-hmm. I think he's that. I really do think he's that type of player. Would you pay Jadeveon Clowney $1 million over 3 years?
Yes, I would pay Jadeveon Clowney $2 million every year because his high school tape is the most absurd high school tape that has ever existed. I have it over Reggie Bush. I have it over Tavon Austin. I have his high school tape.
His high school tape isn't like that, but he also didn't play against all white private school players either.
That's true.
But, he's playing at St. Aug. Like, I mean, going to go against those dudes against Carr, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, Clowney should have been a Heisman finalist in 2012. But
remember when LSU just absolutely raked him, ran the ball right at his ass?
With the left tackle on 3 days' notice.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jurasik.
Yeah,
and Josh is. I wouldn't say we're close friends, but we lived next to each other in WC. I'll always tell that story. I was on the field for that game, and I was fearing for Josh's life.
Safety.
Yeah, I was like, man, dude, you've never started at OT
and dominated him. Dominated him.
It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. He had no he had 2 pass deflections and a few gang tackles, but didn't have a sack, didn't wreck the game like he, same thing happened with Myles Garrett. Yeah, there was a few things about that game, Blake, that was crazy. So that was also the Jeremy Hill breakout game. That was the game where it was okay, Jeremy Hill is really that dude. And then there was also a play. There was only one play where Jurasik just flopped and he didn't run his assignment. So this is one of the most athletic plays. You can go pull it up. I wrote for a site for SB Nation and the Valley Shook. I wrote a piece on this. And there was a play where he just missed, just whiffed him. I actually didn't whiff him. He just let him go. He had a brain fart. And Clowney was about to destroy Mettenberger from his blind side. And at the last second, Lyle Collins dove.
I remember that.
Got a piece of him. And I was like, okay, Lyle Collins might be the best LSU offensive lineman I've ever seen him in person. He is that was just one of the most athletic plays you'll ever see. But yeah, that was such a great game. But back to Thanos. Now, if you really think he is in the breath of college Clowney, he's been a good pro, but college Clowney was I
think he's got that type of upside. Yes.
Well, then you should definitely pay.
He can play all 5 positions and not miss a beat. I think he could play. If you needed him to play nose guard, he could do it. I think if you need to play one, I don't know if he could be a 1 technique. I think there's a lot of difference between being a nose and a 1 because of how you're shaded. I think he could be outside. I think he can do. He's got 3 pass rush moves that no high school guy should have at that young. Okay, I think he can bull rush. You can dip and rip, and he's athletic enough to run down a quarterback. Yes, okay. I do think he's that good. So back to the original point, we got to get over this. We're not in the market of buying. We just got to get. I'm not saying that we're not, because we 1,000% are in the market. Okay. But I just want to, get that understood. What are you working on? Last question. What are you working on right now, Darren? I mean, we're in May. August is almost here. What are you working on right now, and some things that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so I'm working on my final grades of all the high school prospects. I've already done the early enrollees, so I'm just digging through as much high school film background information. I give a grade. I don't know why I do it. It's just kind of out of curiosity. Mm-hmm. But I keep going back to Caden Durham and Deshaun McBride. Spoiler alert, are the 2 best players for me that LSU brought in this mm-hmm. last crop. So that's what I'm personally doing. But outside of that, Blake, and just enjoying a little bit of a
downtime,
the lull before media days is here and all of that. But honestly, I'm feeling better about this team for a wide variety of reasons. That could just be the fan side of me coming out, but I'm becoming a little bit more bullish on a good season for LSU coming up. But you keep coming back.
Why?
Well, I think when you have an offensive line as good as theirs, the good thing about an elite offensive line, Blake, is none of those guys ever leave the field. They are on the field for the maximum amount of snaps. They are involved in almost every single play that you do. And that just moves the needle a lot for me because there's so many teams that have really bad weak links on their offensive line. And if DJ Chester is even a decent center, which I think he will be, we'll see. This offensive line will carry LSU to a few games or a game where they shouldn't win it, but they win because that group is that good and they could keep Nuss that clean back there. And if you have a transcendent group, which I really do believe this offensive line can be the best we have ever seen at LSU. And there's a lot of good ones. 07 group was great. 11 group was great. 19 group was great. There's a lot of really good ones you can point to. 14 group or the 15 group, excuse me, was really, really, really good. I think they can do some things like you and I have been debating the running game.
Yeah, I mean, there was a big debate someone tried to get into with you on social media too.
Yeah, I'm used to it by now, but I'm not saying that run the football isn't important. I'm just score the best way you could score no matter what. But
no, I agree. So here's what I think is getting missed. I don't disagree with you. What I'm just saying is run the ball a little bit more. Like dial down the clock a little bit. Play a little bit of ball control. That's all I'm saying. A little bit of ball control. I don't care if you throw a 50-yard bomb to Chris Hilton. Carter, I want you to do that. What I'm just saying is, can we run the ball twice and see what happens before we do that? Like, can we run the ball for 7-8 yards and then on second and short, then you throw it instead of just, I mean, Carter, think about it like this. Against Ole Miss, Jayden Daniels threw 21 straight passes and went 20 of 21. The only one that he didn't complete was the drop by Caleb Jackson.
Right.
Run the ball. Run the ball.
But why would you run it if you're scoring that many?
Because you got to play ball control. You cannot keep. Like, let me give an example. Okay. If you do hold on the ball, remember when Ryan Yates batted that pass down?
Yeah.
The longest drive that LSU's offense had was the series before he did that and stopped them on fourth down. Why is that?
I don't know. You tell me.
Because I think coaches get a little bit into their heads a little too much, and when you give a position group a little time to rest, you can make plays. You can be on one, and it gives you more time to go through everything. The most misinterpreted, most missed thing in all of college sports is when guys are on the sidelines and Blake Baker can run through every scenario that they just saw, okay, and go through what they just saw, right? Like, I don't think that Matt House got the benefit of the doubt of being able to run through everything with his guys. It would just go back out there and keep going. Well, we got to run what we got to run, because if we don't, I mean, then they're definitely going to blow the coverage. So I'm not saying to not score at will. What I'm saying is, when you come, can you be 22 a better throwing the football but run the ball and kill the clock like you did in 22? Like, there were times where you imposed your will. And I do think, I'm just going to be honest, I think it's how you beat Bama in 22.
Yeah, I just don't know if I want to change anything from the Ole Miss game. I mean, they scored 49 points, right?
But Carter, you're not going to be that, though. You're not going to be that offense. And I do think you got to control the clock. And you know what else? You know what else happens when you lean on teams and you dominate them up front offensively? They start getting more tired. And you lean on them. Here's the best analogy I've ever heard from an offensive line coach in the SEC. One of my best friends. He's an SEC. He's a offensive line coach in the SEC right now. He said, Blake, when we run the football early in games, even if it's 3 and 4 yards, it's like body blows. By the 7th, 8th, 9th round, well, it's kind of funny because that's how Tyson Fury got his ass beat. But it's body shots. You're hitting them with body shots. and you got to be able to control the clock. Carter, I don't know. We're just never going to agree on this.
No, I do think there is some value in that. I just Bleav if your best form of scoring and you're scoring every single time and it's only 3 play drives and you're only running like 8 seconds off the clock, then that should be what you do. Now, there is major value in controlling the clock and bleeding every last second off the play clock if you are a heavy underdog playing against a team that is better than you. But LSU is not going to be in that situation at all next year. So, but it's whatever. It's a lot, and like you said, a lot of it is based on.
You got to do it against Ole Miss this year.
I don't know. I think you just it's like if
you're not, you cannot line up and in the past, because Carter, here's the problem. Jayden Daniels is scrambling, won you a shitload of games.
Oh, I'm not
okay. So, and I don't mean this. Nuss is not as good as Jayden was last year. He's not good as Jayden is right now.
Nobody is. I don't know if anybody will ever.
Okay, very good point. All I'm saying is, why would you not lean on your biggest group by controlling the clock and dominating dudes up front?
I would look. I do agree with this. They do need to run the football better. The run game last year was not good towards the end of the season.
And I got to be honest, I don't agree with that. I vehemently don't agree. Can I tell you why?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because when you throw the ball 18 out of 20 plays and you get 4 yards on one carry and 3 yards on another, it's not that you're not having success. Carter, if I have 3 yards in the running game every play, we're cooking with grease. I'm telling you, because I'm going to lean on him. You cannot expect me after in 20 plays, oh, you gave me 2, and that's basically what I'm being judged off of.
Okay, so you're saying the run game as far as handing the football off to the running backs wasn't good because you didn't get a large enough sample.
We did, and you know that we didn't. Because think about Bama. The Bama game, we're going a little long, and this is going to be the last part I make.
No, go ahead.
Think about the Bama game. Okay, last year. Carter, wasn't the stat like 32 straight dropbacks? And
for Jayden? Yeah.
Yeah, for Jayden. And so think about it like this. Okay, so the running play that they have to Josh Williams coming out of half, okay, literally is a 4-yard run. So that gets brought into, oh, well, they're not running the football effectively enough with their running backs. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so I think so. I do agree with you that it is a little bit skewed because the best play call that Denbrock could make was just any Jayden drop back because if nothing was open, right? Yeah,
my man's gone.
Yeah,
so
it got to that
skewed.
point. Yeah, no. I do agree with you, but it still wasn't good. Like statistically, it was not good.
I don't care about the statistics when 18 of my 20 plays are dropbacks. I'm sorry. I really don't.
I'll go back and look. I'll go back and rewind.
Please do. I'm just going based off of PFF. I don't know that. Going off of PFF's stat.
No. I use PFF as well. It's just when the ball was handed to the running back, it was not an effective play for LSU towards the end of the year. But I do agree there wasn't a large enough sample to say if it.
Look at Logan Diggs had how many games over 100?
That's what I'm saying. Like he didn't have any towards. Well, no running back had any.
Well, he was hurt, but yeah,
he was hurt, and like Denbrock would tell you is. It was a waste of a play call when Jayden was outrunning everyone the way that he was to not just have him drop back every single time. Now, Marvelous says, as a good point, way too much inside zone. LSU is a very heavy inside zone.
They ain't going to be like that this year.
Yeah, I think you'll see.
They're going to get Will Campbell out in space. You know who's going to have a big year in the running game? Mason Taylor.
And look, he was the number one to use PFF's numbers. He was the number 1 blocking tight end in the SEC.
Yeah, he
Run
better.
blocking
He's
tight
gonna
end.
have to have a big year because they're gonna pull both guard and tackle, and he's gonna have to be an anchor.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's go. I see you, man.
My
Early
man,
AYS.
Thank you for being very flexible during T-ball season.
Oh, so we're not rained out tonight?
Nope.
Let's go, Big Ben, man. Knock it out
Did
the park.
Did you see that line drive? What should have been double?
Yeah, he just didn't turn the corner. You got too excited.
Well, you can't. They don't let you. They frown upon you sending a runner to second. You got to stop it first.
What?
But
No.
let me tell you this quick before we leave. The other night, about a week ago, okay, this other coach was sending players in T-ball. Ben comes up, line drive right back up the middle, bases loaded. Daddy was coaching third base. Runners were being sent. I was doing the whole Jay Johnson. Let's go. Backpedaling, pull the hamstring.
Send it.
Send him.
I need a film of you. And you're thinner, Blake, now.